Earlier this year, I bought my first Airbnb. I paid $10,000 at closing and I got the property. I didn't go through a bank to get a mortgage. I didn't get any appraisal. Put the money down, got the house deeded in my name, and furnished it and put it on Airbnb. If you've been following my channel for a little bit, I posted a video recently going through like the numbers of my Airbnb, the first 3 months in particular, and how it's been going. A lot of people were asking, like, okay, cool, the numbers make sense, but like, how are you buying this deal? And then previous videos I've also spoken about it. I've been planning on doing this video for a little bit, so finally I'm getting to doing it, and this is how I bought an Airbnb for $10,000. Another fun fact is I actually bought this Airbnb, which is in Tampa, Florida. I live in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I bought this Airbnb without ever going to see it before closing. I bought it completely unseen. I had my boy Adam, he's my realtor in Tampa. He went and saw the house and like we FaceTimed and stuff, but I didn't see the house in person until after I closed on it, when I finally made that 5-hour drive all the way out to Tampa to see it. And then one more thing before I get into the numbers is, in the previous video I showed my first 3 months, which was June, July, and August, and then I showed a little bit of September and how that was working. I had some people saying, oh, you did good because the summer months, because kids were off from school, but now that we're getting into like the school year, it's not going to be doing as well. I'm recording this video in October, and this is a screenshot of my October calendar, and as you can see, as of right now, assuming nobody cancels, I have 100% occupancy in the month of October, and like really good occupancy in September, and November is already starting to fill up too. So the house is doing really well. Summertime or winter time, or whenever, it just does well, because like I knew the location I was buying it. Also because my pricing strategy is a little bit lower than the competition. Maybe I could be getting $20 more on average, but I'm $20 under, just so I could get it booked. But I would rather be fully booked and get a little bit less and have it more predictable than having to rely on hopefully I get that booking, and there's just like a bunch of nonsense and drama and stress. So I know my house is gonna get booked. So now, how did I buy this house for $10,000? Well, the seller bought the house in 2020. I bought the house in 2023. The seller bought it in 2020 for $90,000. This was like peak COVID time, which also means a low rate, so it was a 3% interest rate, and he bought it with a VA loan. If you're unfamiliar with VA loans are actually the coolest thing ever, and like I kind of wish I was in the military just so I can get my own VA loan. If you ever served in the military, if you qualify for VA loan, you need to be using it. It's the coolest loan. It's the best loan program. FHAs are cool, 3.5% down. There's low down conventional rates. DSCRs are great. Which is just a whole bunch of loans I just rattled off. But the VA loan is amazing because you can get 0% down in cases. So in this example, he bought the house for $90,000. He put 0 down to buy the house, which is crazy, right? I'm talking about how I bought this house for $10,000. This guy put $0 down, maybe he just paid closing costs or whatever. So VA loans are great. So he bought this house for $90,000 in 2020 with a VA loan. And, now I'm buying in 2023. I could, you would assume that there's very little mortgage payoff, right? Because usually in the first like 7-10 years, you're mostly just paying interest. So there's very low mortgage payoff. When I closed on it, the loan balance was about $86,000. So there's $86,000 on that first mortgage. So he paid about $4,000, there's $86,000 left. Now when I spoke to the seller, this was off market, so I have a wholesale company. I'm still wholesaling. A lot of people still ask me like, yes, I'm still in this. We reached out to the seller because we market in Tampa. I think it was a cold call maybe. So if you're cold calling, shout out to you. And he wanted $150. And I don't know why, but he was super firm on this number. There was a comp that sold in the area for $150. So I think that's why he really wanted $150. Now, although he bought it for $90, it's like, okay, he has some equity there to sell it, but the house was in good condition. The electrical is old, the plumbing is old, like the roof is low-key kind of old. It's a frame house, so it's not the best foundation. There's a lot of soft spots. So if this house is like as is value, it's probably closer to $120. It's not worth $150. If he put it on the market he's not getting 150. The one that sold for 150 had a concrete block. So if you don't know foundations, there's like a concrete block where they fill like a slab of concrete, put the house on top of the concrete, or there's what's called frame houses where they frame out the foundation, so it's like wood framing, and then they build the house on top of that. So both have their pros and cons. Concrete's more ideal in like almost any case. I don't know why frame would be ideal, but concrete's ideal in like almost any scenario because the foundation issues aren't as prevalent because it's a concrete block or frame. You know, you have to redo it, you have to re-add the wood in it, you have to like, you know, I don't even know what it's called, but like put wood around the pillars to make them stronger. You know what I'm talking about. So with the 150 price, we're looking at about $64,000 of equity. Let's say I paid him 150 cash, he would pay off the mortgage, he would get $64,000 in cash. And I told him, I'm like, hey, listen, like if I did this, if I wholesaled it or bought it for myself, you know, as a normal deal, I told him I'd have to be closer to 100, you know, maybe 110, 120 max. But even then it's pushing it because, you know, the house isn't perfect. It's, you know, there's issues that need to be resolved. So I told him that, and he really wanted the 150. So it was almost a dead deal. It was like, we can't do anything. This guy wants, you know, a ridiculous amount. We can't give that amount to him. He saw a comp that sold for that. He really wanted the number, right? So his motivation was, you know, sell it. He didn't want to own the property. He didn't want to manage the property anymore, but also to get its number. So what I ended up asking him was if he was open to a creative solution, right? Because at this point it didn't make sense as a cash offer, so wanted to see if he was open to something a little bit more creative. So he said he would be open to a creative solution as long as he gets his number. So what I asked him was, you know, obviously we could pay off the mortgage and I could, you know, get my own mortgage, pay off his mortgage. But at the time of recording this video, the rates are like 8.5. It's ridiculous. Rates back then were about 6. So they're still like crazy, but they weren't as crazy as they are now. But that's still double what the rate is on this note because this was peak COVID when rates were 2-3%. So I asked him if instead of me paying off the mortgage, I could just take over the payments on his mortgage. The mortgage would still be in his name. I would log into the account, I would pay it every month, I'll send a proof of payment, and then I'll have that mortgage essentially being serviced by me, and I'll have it always paid on time, and then I don't have to pay off the mortgage. And he said yes, he would be down. So I was like, awesome. So now we're looking at the $74,000 of equity, which still doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to pay $74,000, you know, up front to buy this house when there's a mortgage for this amount. I'm not getting my own mortgage, I can't refinance it. But what I asked him is, instead of me paying the $64,000 in cash, would he be open to seller financing that $64,000 in the second position for, you know, a few years? And he was like kind of like reluctant at first. He's like, I'm already doing the, you know, subject to creative stuff, now you want me to sell or finance it? But he ended up coming around after we talked about it and everything like that. And then in return for him working with me, I actually increased. So I offered to increase the purchase price from 150 to 160. So 150,000 to now 160,000, 10,000 more. So if you're doing the math, the numbers are 160 purchase price. That's what I paid to buy the house. Taking over the first position mortgage, which is $86,000. The seller is then going to seller finance me the remaining equity, which is $74,000, which leaves a remaining amount of just $10,000. And that's what I came to close with, and that's what I paid him at the closing table, was $10,000. And on top of that, the first position note, which I mentioned is like a 3% note, and the second position note, that's $74,000, has 0 interest. So it's like an insane note, principal only, and on top of that, it's a low payment. That payment's pretty low in comparison to what, you know, it could have been. In total, the payment from the first position note, the second position note, and then taxes, insurance, you know, other small charges like utilities, comes up to around $900 a month that I'm paying every month just to own this house. Now, if you watched the other video, you know that this house is bringing in anywhere from like $2,100 to $2,500, on average $2,300 a month. So this house is cash flowing very, very well. Now with that 900, that's not including like Airbnb maintenance, my cleaners, you know, maintenance and repairs, all of that stuff. So there's other expenses. It's not bringing in that much money. Like in comparison from the 900 to the 2300, but it's still bringing in pretty good cash. Now, one thing that a lot of people are gonna ask is, okay, you bought the house for 10,000, but did it come with furniture? Did you put repairs? So I ended up putting about 11,000 into the house when it came to repairs for, AC, window units, some small repairs done to the house, like flooring, windows, blinds, furnishing the house. That all counts with like washer, dryer, furniture, TVs. So I paid around 11,000 for that. So the 10,000 plus the 11,000 is like $21,000 is my total, like all into this house. But I didn't have to put that 11,000 into it because before I bought the house, it was a rental, and I could have kept it as a rental. But I did want the Airbnb because if I go to Tampa, I could stay there. I wanted to own an Airbnb. I've been managing the Airbnb 5 hours away, and it's been going well. Got a good experience doing it. And then also I think, just having Airbnb is like cooler, and all that stuff, just whatever. I knew that it could bring in more money. So that's why I ended up doing it, but I didn't have to do that. I just wanted to do it just because of what my exit strategy was. But I could have kept it as a rental. And this is how I bought my first rental property, my first Airbnb property. I did it creative financing. The title company was familiar with creative deals. Like they've done some sub 2 deals and stuff. But when I did this deal, they were so overwhelmed. But they did a good job. But they were like, man, this is the most creative deal we've seen. Like it's insane, like all the moving parts in it. So it was a little stressful during the closing period. But luckily I had a good team, everything got taken care of, and the deal got taken to the finish line, and now it's been about 7 months since I bought it, and it turned out to be one of my favorite purchases after doing 50 plus real estate deals. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you are talking to sellers, make sure you're pitching creative offers, because you can pick up a house just like this, where originally it was coming with a cash offer, then it was a dead lead because the price didn't make sense. But we ended up having a creative solution where the seller was still happy. He got his price, and I have a cash flowing asset that I bought for $10,000 down, essentially. So it's a good deal all around. Everybody's happy. And now you guys are educated on maybe how you can do it too. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you would have bought this house. I don't really have equity in the house, but it's cash flowing pretty well. And maybe a few years down the line, it'll keep appreciating as the area gentrifies, and it'll be a good deal. I'll have equity and everything as well. So let me know what your thoughts are, and thanks for watching.